If you're working 40 to 50-hour weeks and you're still not able to get lean or get in shape for this summer, it's honestly not because you're lazy. Well, honestly, for some of you, it might actually be, but you're following a structure and a plan that doesn't work for your own schedule and doesn't allow you to be consistent. And that's why you keep falling off the wagon. So I'm going to show you exactly because I used to think the exact same way, and I'm going to break down these couple things that I have here on this Maro board. I'm going to break it down and show you how I'm able to actually get lean while still working 40, 50 hours a week and still being able to run my online business. So let's run this up here. All right, so this is exactly how I'm able to stay lean while actually working 50 hours plus and running my online business and honestly changing people's lives, not just the physical part, but the mental part as well, and just breaking down everything into their calendar, into what workouts to hit, what to eat, and everything like that. So I'm just going to get started here. So to begin, let's talk about why you're actually stuck. So why you're actually stuck is from your long shifts. So I know a lot of people are nurses, doctors, veterinarians, things like that. Even a lot of blue collar workers have helped out. And they just have long, like unreliable shifts. So some weeks you might work this certain amount of time and others you're stuck on nights. So that's like a huge part of your schedule that just doesn't allow you to become who you want to be and be this 2.0 version. And then the next thing a lot of people talk about is having low energy after work. So just like I said, maybe you came off a night shift, you just did 12 hours. You're obviously not going to want to think of wanting to go to the gym because you're tired, you're exhausted. You already did your main priority, which was work, just to pay bills, to even just stay alive. So you're not going to be thinking about the gym, and that's completely acceptable. And lastly is the inconsistent schedule that I'm going to really break down here because working different shifts and different routines, and you come home at certain times. Maybe you also have children that you have to take care of, and sometimes it's just not the same routine. So a lot of influencers always talk about follow the same routine. How if my schedule literally changes every freaking day? I'm not home all day like everyone else is. So I used to believe this way, and once you kind of break these limiting beliefs and you change your mindset and rewire it a little bit, you're able to actually still work, still do your same routine, do what you're supposed to be doing, while still getting into the best shape of your life. So the structure. So I'm going to break it down super simple. So let's talk about training. So the best training split is either an upper lower 4-day split or a full body 3-day split. So I'll put some examples on the screen. So I'll put those up now and screenshot them if you want to use them. So this is my upper lower split and this is my full body split. You honestly don't need anything too complicated. I'm only realistically in the gym for 45 minutes or less, unless I'm also doing cardio. So when you're in the gym, make sure you're actually training hard. So I'm going to put on a separate video that I can also link to this one that shows how hard you should actually be training. Because when I look around at the gym as a personal trainer, there's a lot of people that are just not pushing to the full potential and they can honestly keep a conversation. So a general rule of thumb, your first rep should never look like your last rep. So let's say I have hit 8 to 10 rep range. My number one rep should never look like my rep around the 8 to 10 rep range. So I should be slowing down and it should be significantly slower and just not pushing as like fast as I could. So that's just a general rule of thumb. And then for full body days, again, just same rule applies. So keep it 45 minutes, full body days. I have loads of examples. I could release some more workout videos if you guys are also just still super confused on what to do on that part. Let me know. And if you do have questions about form and if you're doing it right, I could also make separate videos for each separate form of different machines and stuff like that. So let me know in the comments below and they can be quick reels so you're not watching another hour-long video. Next up is cardio. A lot of people question cardio. So there's two ways to go about this. So if you have a slower step count because maybe you're sitting at an office all day or you just can't for some reason get some steps in, even though there's super easy techniques to do that, is you could either do 30 to 40 minutes of cardio only twice a week. So I generally just do these on my training days. That way, if I'm already at the gym, I might as well just get my cardio over with and I'm at the gym for like an hour 15 max at the most. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to be in and out of the gym in 40 minutes, then do your cardio on off days. So if you're only training 4 days a week, you have Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays to also train cardio. So then I would just do cardio on those off days. And the thing about cardio, a lot of people doesn't understand is that it doesn't need to be you just suffering on a Stairmaster. If you're going out playing hoops with your boys, you're more than welcome to count that as cardio. I allow all my clients to count that as cardio. So if you're going to go you have a huge hockey game, use that as cardio. Anything that you're outside, maybe you like running, hiking, things like that, a lot of people like doing, you could count that as cardio. So as long as you're doing that twice a week, I'm more than okay with that, okay? But as long as it's also something that's like vigorous, you can kind of keep a conversation, but you're a little bit out of breath. If you're just like gonna go play catch with your dad for 40 minutes, I don't think you're gonna burn a lot of calories, but I'd rather you do that than nothing is the main idea. And if you can't get anything in, just make sure you get more steps in. So the thing about steps, everyone talks about 10K. How do you actually get that if you're stuck in the office all day? I would take like frequent water breaks or bathroom breaks, even though you can take that on company time. And then maybe walk to work if it's close enough, if that's an option. If it's not, just park further is the key. So if you're parking like a minute from your workplace, park like a couple blocks down, and then that way you can get some extra steps in and you still drove to work. Same as for the grocery store, go grocery shopping, park far away, take turn on some different aisles. That's what I do all the time. And then same as the mall, just go to the mall, go to somewhere where it's big and you can get some nice walks in. Now that it's summer, obviously just go outside, walk your dog, go with your significant other, go for a walk. Overall, it's just more peaceful and you can relax your mind and just feel better about your day, even if you had a shitty, stressful day. Okay, let's break down meals. I'm going to break this down super quick and simple because it honestly is super quick and simple. A lot of people keep overestimating this and overcomplicating it when it's really not that hard. So for breakfast, you just need protein and carbs for almost every single meal. So I'm just going to spit some easy options that I've had. A lot of eggs is really good. So you can have 2 to 3 eggs and then some egg whites. A lot of people complain about how much fat in egg whites is. It's honestly not that serious. Just keep eating your eggs and egg whites. You do not have to worry about this. Maybe if you're having some like bloated cereal, then worry about it. But if you're having eggs, any sort of eggs, so scrambled, things like that, any sort of egg, so you can have oatmeal, scrambled, boiled, anything like that, and then some carbs. So I usually like oatmeal in the morning. You could have breakfast in the morning. It's not going to be the end of the world. You could have a breakfast sandwich, breakfast wrap, just something. Eggs in the morning. You could also switch it for a different meat source. So if you want to eat steak and eggs in the morning, go right ahead. No one is stopping you, and it's still very healthy for you. So the key is simple ingredients. And I also have another video about talking about food options. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you do. For carbs, just some oatmeal, bread, things like that, like I mentioned before. And then moving on to lunch. So this is the same thing, just change certain aspects of it. So for protein, you can have chicken, lean ground beef, turkey, things like that. And then carbs, rice, potatoes, again, bread, flour, tortillas. Even for my Mexican friends and followers out there, you could have tortillas. It doesn't have to be just strict thing. So for me, I'm Mexican, so I'm still eating all my favorite Mexican food. So for lunch, I'm having some carne asada with tortillas, some salsa, and maybe a side of vegetables or some fruits. You can make your meal simple. Just make sure it's whole ingredients. But if you're making like some super complicated spaghetti, you're not going to be able to be on the same track as someone who's just eating like potatoes and a lean ground beef every single day. So it's just not the same. Make it, you can still enjoy those meals, but make it whole food meals that don't have like any processed crap in it, like cereals and all this stuff. Why are you eating this? Just stick to the simple stuff that have been proven to work. And finally, meals for your dinner, it's going to be the same thing. So if you're going to have carbs in there, you could still add carbs, or you could just do vegetables. So steak, chicken, ground beef, any like lean sausages and stuff like that I found at the grocery store that were really good. So you could just change everything and play around with it. And then once you find meals that hit, write those down on your notes and then you'll have like a super master library. So I created my own super master library with different meal options that if I'm ever like unsure what to eat or I want to treat myself, I'll just go look at that. And I have plenty of options that I found that were fire and easy to make. That's also the key. And when you're cooking stuff, make extra of everything. So I'm going to cook chicken, make at least 3 or 4 chickens and put them in the fridge. And then again for ground beef. So that way I have options. If I don't want to eat chicken every day, I could grab the ground beef. Finally, protein snacks or protein bars are some really good ones. It's 2026. There's no way you're not finding some lower calorie, high protein options. There's protein drinks, there's milks and stuff like that. There's also protein coffees for a lot of people that like protein coffees and some like Canadian friends. Tim Hortons also selling some really good options that are lower in calories. And Greek yogurt, spam Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is really good for you, same as for your stomach, your antibiotics. So you could just put Greek yogurt if you don't like the flavor of plain. I'll put a lot of stevia. There's also jellies that you can put in there that have zero sugar. There's also like chocolate stuff that you can put on there with zero sugar. Just find things that work and stick to it. The key is sticking to it. So here again, my rule is no restarting, just continuing. So even if you fall off the wagon and maybe you had a cheeseburger, just go back to the routine. A lot of people that I've talked to and heard from, they'll fall off the wagon, but then they make sure they fully fall off the wagon. Once you're off the wagon, you can still get back on. That's the main idea. You don't have to continue to just keep collapsing down and down and down, and then you're into downward spiral. Next thing you know, you're up 20 pounds over the summer. I don't know how that's possible. If you fall off, just go back to the basics and continue. Again, the key is consistency. So nobody is perfect. There's days that you're going to fall off. I've fallen off the wagon. that is just part of life. We're not meant to be perfect. We're not robots, okay? And finally, just some real life adjustments. So these are the most common excuses and things that I've heard of people not being able to become who they say they want to become. And a lot of it's just being tired. So if you're tired, just shorten your workouts. Hit 30 minutes. Hit 30 minutes in your basement. You don't have to go to the gym. Just make sure you are moving more than you are eating. So that's how you're going to be able to lose the weight. So if you're tired, just shorten the workout. Put it in different slots. So a lot of people put in their lunch breaks so that way it's out the way. Find a consistent routine that actually works for you. So maybe after work, as long as you're not missing 30 minutes, you're done, you're home, and you could go about your day. And finally, again, so there's another excuse, miss a day. So again, just like I mentioned, we're not robots. You're going to miss days. You're going to have days that are shitty. You're going to have days that you worked overtime. Your boss yelled at you. If you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. All you literally have to do is continue on. That is it. If you fall off the wagon, just get back on. And then I talked about no gym. So if you don't have access to a gym, I heard a lot of people don't have access to a gym. If you're traveling for work or things like that and you don't want to pay for a different membership, you could literally get jacked in your basement if you tried hard enough. So if you could start doing push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, squats, anything like that. And if you don't have weights, just pick up a textbook, pick up something heavy and train with it. The only thing stopping you from getting jacked in your room is excuses. So once you run out of these excuses to make, you'll take action and actually get in really good shape. So if you need quick 20, 30-minute workouts in your basement or without any equipment, let me know and I could drop those as well. And finally, if you're super busy and you don't have time, even though like I've heard the excuse time like 1,000 times, and at the end of the day, it's never just about time. Because if I found time in your schedule, I know you'd be able to do it. So if you're busy, just train 3 days a week, full body workouts. If you need help with that as well, I can plan some full body workouts and release them as well. And I'm also putting some on this video as well, and same as in the description. So finally, what actually works? What keeps you going and what keeps me lean from my own personal experience? So simple over perfection. So just stick to what works. I just broke down everything that actually works. So just stick to simple training, upper lower split for full body days if you can't make more than 4 days a week. And then for cardio, just 2 sessions, 30 minutes. You can even use playing hockey or playing basketball with your boys. And then finally, just nutrition. Make nutrition as simple as possible. That way you're not falling off, and just keep it easy and simple for yourself that will actually work for your own personal routine. And again, just save some recipes so you can have like a super master library. If you're ever confused on what to have, just refer back to that. And structure over motivation. So I just broke down the most simple structure that you could follow. That you don't have to do any fancy influencer shit. This is my vinegar shots that I take every morning. No, just stick to the basics. This is what has worked since man time, since Arnold days. Maybe you're not on steroids, but all these basics still work. They were still training consistently. They were doing their cardio, and they were eating simple whole ingredient foods. You don't have to do anything fancy like any influencer shit. And finally, consistency. So, like I mentioned, if you're falling off the wagon, just stick back on the wagon. Get back on. Nothing is stopping you from getting back on. If you truly want to be in shape before summer, there's still enough time. All you have to do is be consistent and stick to it at least the minimum 90 days. This is not just a 2 week fad. Stick to it for 90 days, even if you have some days that were shittier than others. That is completely okay. That is going to happen, and it's honestly happened to me thousands of times. But I was still able to get in freaking amazing shape just because, guess what? I stuck to the plan. I stuck to the simple ass formula that I just broke down here. And if you stick to it for 90 days at the bare minimum, because once you're in shape, it's way easier to maintain it. The hardest part is getting to that shape. Like once the ball is rolling, you could keep that ball rolling, but the hardest part is pushing that ball to get it rolling. But if you could stick it out because you actually want the results that you said you wanted, then you'll be able to do it. And that's the only thing. So this is what works for me. And that's my entire video. So if you have any questions of how I stay lean or you need anything else broken down deeper, let me know in the comments. But other than that, follow the routine, stick to the structure, and just keep grinding hard. Peace out.